What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on this video. Today we got my predictions and picks for UFC 304's main card. It's looking to be a really good card, even from the early prelims all the way to the main card. It's pretty stacked. I'll be watching the whole thing, probably live tweeting the whole thing, so make sure to check me out on Twitter. And yeah, I'll stop yapping. Let's get right into it. So for the first fight of the main card of UFC 304, we're starting off with a banger, a barn burner. We got Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. Now, this is kind of clear to call in my opinion. Let me just start by saying that I do know Allen has lost his last two. I am aware of that. And I do know that Giga won his last one. But if you look back to that last fight, Giga versus Caceres, Giga gets pieced up throughout that fight. And even though his power shots ended up being the deciding factor, I feel like he was getting outstruck nonetheless. To add on to this, we've seen that if you could stop the Giga kick, you could somewhat easily stop Giga. This was mainly shown in the Qatar fight. Now with Allen, he showed that in the Holloway fight, he can take a lot of damage and still come out hard to the very end. He showed that he can eat those power shots without slowing down too much. And I also feel the Movsar fight showed that Allen does have the grappling edge over Giga. We've seen Giga have a lot of problems with groundwork, and Allen is a very well-rounded fighter who isn't afraid to take the fight to the ground if Giga were to start landing his leg kicks. Personally, I don't think Giga can get Allen down the way Movsar was able to, so I think that edge really does go to Allen, and that Allen would be able to take the fight to the ground if he really needed. Other from an early head kick KO, I just don't see Giga getting a win here. I think Allen is a lot more well-rounded, and even if Giga does have the power shots on his side, I think Allen will be able to weather the storm and get a TKO later on in the fight. All of that being said, I gotta go with Arnold Allen. If I had to guess, probably a spinning back fist TKO or a spinning elbow TKO. Alright, up next we got the people's main event, Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Robocop Rodriguez. Now this has probably been one of the most anticipated fights of the 21st century. I'm glad the UFC finally gave in and paid them the bag that they deserved. Yeah, and I can't wait. In all seriousness, on paper, this fight should definitely be a banger. Just looking at the records, that'll show you this fight is not going to make the distance. Robocop is certified. He doesn't need an introduction. He doesn't need me to yap about him. We know that he will bring the violence at every stage in this fight, and that he has shown that he could lock in and deliver despite being down on the cards. Now with Leroy Duncan, I know he's an upcoming prospect, and he had a good showing against Ribeiro. In that fight, he showed his athleticism and his physicality very, very well. I do think he was too eager to get a finish in that fight, which I've left a lot of openings that a guy like Robocop could easily leverage. Robocop is well seasoned, and he will take advantage of any rookie mistakes that Leroy Duncan will do. Worth noting that Leroy Duncan does have a significant reach advantage over Robocop. Leroy Duncan's is at 79, whereas Robocop's is at 75, which I think will play a huge role in this fight. Robocop is about an inch taller on the height, but that's really inconsequential at this point. After seeing his physicality and his athleticism in the Ribeiro fight, I do think that if Leroy Duncan can come out composed and precise, he will be able to finish the fight against Robocop. If not, I just think Robocop will be able to outstrike him to a UD or perhaps a grueling TKO late. With all of that into consideration, I gotta go with Leroy Duncan via TKO. I just think he will be able to come in composed and precise. He'll understand how big of a stage this is for him, and that he'll deliver. I think he'll be able to dispatch a Robocop relatively easily, perhaps methodically, fuck yeah. Now I'm gonna keep it real with you. I was not really prepared to yap about this Leroy Duncan Robocop fight at all. I was prepared to yap about Kape and Makayev, but it looks like the UFC thinks Kape is gonna fumble the bag again, so they pulled his fat ass off of the main card. Up next, we got King Green versus Paddy the Body. You know, I'm actually pretty excited for this fight. I like Paddy a lot. I think he's been an interesting addition to the lightweight scene, although I will admit, a non-important addition, but interesting nonetheless. I'm also a fan of Bobby Green. Ever since he took on Islam on short notice, I've been a fan of King Green. I think it'll start off close, but Paddy will start to piece up Green eventually. Honestly, it'll just come down to their styles. Green fights with his hands down, while Paddy fights with his hands up. Well, somewhat up. I know Green has pulled off a win against similar odds before in his KO of Grant Dawson, but that seems to be the exception rather than the rule. Even if Paddy begins to get hurt on the feet, he has shown throughout his career, not just the UFC, that he has a very good ground game, and if push comes to shove, he will take the fight there if needed. Overall, honestly, I just don't see a way for the King to win other than a flash KO early on, not with the way he fights. I got Paddy via finish. Second round, if I had to guess, he's going to hit him with a flying knee. Now we're at some of the meat of the main card. And you know, the fact that we got to a title fight this quick, this is a really good fucking card. Like, I actually can't wait for this. And you know, I somewhat do wish it was during Brit time, so that way it would be easier for me to watch, because I'll be busy during the time the early prelims start. So, fuck you, UFC. Anyways, we got Tom Aspinall defending the interim championship against Chris Curtis. Now, this is an interesting one, considering they have shared some time in the octagon together. A lot of people are split on how to digest that footage. Was Tom losing? Did Curtis land that strike? Was it due to the leg? Would it have landed regardless? Should we even take this footage into consideration? Well, yeah, I think we should. Here's what I got from that footage. Curtis is a big, strong guy and is willing to bang with Tom. His reaction looked sharp, and he seemed very well prepared for whatever Tom was throwing at him. I think Blades would have won that matchup had it kept going. And I know it was only about 30 seconds, but he just looked confident in there, and he looked strong. He looked ready to go at it with Tom. I think for this fight, the real question is going to be, how much has Tom improved since then? Blades has a very good grappling game, but so does Tom. Tom has also shown his power against Pavlovich, who did finish Blades, but I think that doesn't really matter too much here, and I'll get into that later. Tom's path to victory here is getting a KO win over Blades, and if you look at Blades' history, that would show that that is the only way Tom is going to win. I do think Blades is going to be able to finish Tom here. I think he'll be confident in the striking and hurt Tom, and he'll use his grappling abilities along with his size to avoid any and all takedowns. I do know Tom has shown his power by KOing Pavlovich, but I ask you, does this speak to Tom's power or Sergey's chin? We all knew Sergey had power, we knew that, but we never knew about his chin. Just because you could hit really hard doesn't mean you could take really hard hits. Will Tom have that one punch power to put out a guy like Blades? If not, I really do think Blades is just going to grind him out and get that win. So if it wasn't obvious already, I'm going to have to go with Blades. Probably a first round TKO. You know, if Tom can find his mark, I'm sure he can box the head off Blades. We've seen that before. But I just think the threat of the power coming back and the confidence in which it'll be thrown, I just think that'll be enough to keep Tom from inputting his game plan. And I don't know if Tom has a one punch power to put out a guy like Blades. I don't know that. He did do it to Sergey, but Sergey was nervous. He had never been in that position before. And as we've seen with the Gustafsson fight, as we've seen with the Volkov fight, Sergey does not have the strongest mental fortitude. We'll just put it like that. So the reality of him being nervous, and that's why he got KO'd like that might actually be true. There may be some truth to that. But yeah, sorry Brits. I think Blades is gonna KO your boy. Alright, we're on to the main event. We got Leon Jama Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. This fight has been brewing up for a while, at least for Belal. Both of these guys are in phenomenal shape, as we've seen. And they seem to have clashing styles. We have a classic striker versus wrestler match here. I think the best thing we can do is look back at their old fight. Yes, I know how it ended, but that happened after a whole round of action. It would be silly just to ignore that. Going off of this footage, Leon just looks big next to Belal. His forward pressure was giving Belal heavy problems along with the slick strikes. I would imagine Leon will come in with a very similar, yet more aggressive style this time around to keep Belal on the back foot. I do think Belal has significantly improved since then. His defeat of Sean Brady was very impressive in my opinion, especially considering the fact that he did it on the feet. Now, I do know Leon is nowhere near Sean Brady's level of striking. He's way above it. But Belal probably won't even get the chance to show off his striking without risking a KO in this fight, like the way he did Brady. But I figured it's worth bringing up because I didn't think Belal had a chance of winning that fight. I thought Brady was going to kick his ass, but Belal proved me wrong with that. I think this fight will come down to whether Belal will be able to enforce his grappling game onto Leon. Now, I know that sounds simple and pretty straightforward, but It's simple and straightforward. That's kind of Bilal's clear path to victory here. Leon has shown that he's no rookie to these grappling exchanges, especially with the Usman and Colby fight. You could even say especially with the old Bilal fight too. But he is not afraid to turn the tables and try to get a takedown of his own. But will his physicality be enough to handle Bilal's suffocating style? Bilal has also spent a fair amount of time with the Khabib camp lately, so just how much has his grappling game improved? I do think Bilal will come out takedown heavy right off the bat to try to drain Leon early on and gain some confidence. Especially if Leon is forward pressuring, I could see Bilal going for takedowns in these situations as to avoid losing moments and sequences similar to the first round in their last fight. Even if this were to be the case though, Leon has shown, as we all know, it doesn't matter how late it is in the fight, he has that power in his legs, in his hands, and he could put somebody out and change the course of UFC history in a second. With all that being said, I have to go with Bilal here. I honestly think he will make it a boring fight and will just grind Leon out to a split or even unanimous decision. Leon has shown he can come back from a win at any moment, but I just don't think Bilal will even give him that chance for a KO similar to the Usman one. Bilal's going to play it safe / boring throughout that fight. If he gets Leon down, he's not going to let him back up for any reason. Even if he's up 4-0, he's not even going to let him up for 5 seconds to strike. That's just the Bilal way. I want to see Leon win this, honestly, I really do. But I just think Bilal is going to have his way for him. Hey guys, that's going to be all. Thanks for watching this video. As always, if you like what you saw, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. It goes a long way here. And make sure to comment down below, what do you think of my picks? Am I a casual? Am I not a casual? Who do you think is going to win? And, what money odds should I take? I'm always down to make money. Oh, and go ahead and comment too. Which fight are you most excited for? Don't limit that to just a main card. We got some bangers on the early prelims and the prelims. So if there's a fight that you're really looking forward to, go ahead and let me know in the comments, and I'll make sure to check that fight out. We have new videos every Friday and Tuesday. We got Elden Ring coming out Fridays, Terraria coming out Tuesdays. And I'll be uploading random miscellaneous videos in between. So make sure to keep an eye on the channel. We got a lot of shit coming. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.